Here we are, Wednesday, the 4th of September, 2019. Bitcoin made this nice little run up and it's made a little top formation. Let's jump in and see what the charts are telling us after we skim past the disclaimer. So I drew this out the other day, this little squiggle, and the prices did pretty well on it. Now they've dropped out of there. So it's dropped out of our upward channel. It broke this upward trend line, and now it's pulled back a little bit. And I was debating, should I take my profit? 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 Because it's about, 60, maybe 70% profit now from where it was. It was up to 93 or something percent profit here. And I'm not going to yet, and I'll go through the charts and talk about why. So here's the trade. I was at 93% at that time. And of course, I'm thinking it's probably going to pull back. All these reasons it's going to pull back. I should take my profit and get back in. When I'm here, I could put on a bigger position. And then I zoom out. What is this? The 1 hour time frame. And the exponential moving average crossed over on the 1 hour time frame from this 1, 2, 3 bottom formation breakout, which was my entry signal. Prices have not come yet back to the 50% level of this move, where I would expect them to come back and consolidate for my add-on position. So I'm not going to close that. I'm going to let it run, and we'll see if it comes back all the way to here and we just in a major choppy sideways market, then my strategy will fail, and it would have been a much better idea to take my profit back here. However, if this is an important turning point that I think it is, it may come back and consolidate and retest these levels, and it would be really good if it did. And then as it's breaking above these levels, I'll be at my 93% and it'll be time to add on this kind of consolidation. And we've already got that plan out in advance, knowing that only a small bit of the position goes on, trying to get this cushion before it comes back and gives me the real trade entry. This is giving us our major parallel channel, and it's giving us more of that shoe shape, the Alaskan Alaskan sled dog shape. Let me clear all this stuff off now. I want to go into our data. 5-year. Relative strength index is still giving us a nice tick upward here. This angle is beautiful. If we continue and keep this throughout the week, we are smiling. We're really on our way back up out of one of these bounces that we've seen before all the way along. And it's going to be something significant if we can keep this angle right there. On the 1 hour, on the 1 day time frame, this is picked up good, and it has to stay above this level now. This has to become our steady trend all the way along, where the shorter time frames are going to oscillate oversold back, oversold back, oversold back. The daily should be a more smooth trend all the way along here, even though everything else is going to be whipsawing. As we're zooming in, we should see this going crazy. And normally, I might be a little bit freaked out about that, but I'm getting this longer term perspective of what the relative strength index does during a move at these different time frames. And so I'm expecting the same thing for the 12-hour time frame, in that we're going to continue a trend upward until it gets to be really, really overbought. And that's where I'll expect that this is going to go through that whole process, and we'll have to see where this gets super overbought compared to historical prices. Now in the 4-hour time frame, as I'm zooming in, I'm watching now for it to oscillate. So I'm watching for it to go to the overbought condition and pull back, and then go to the overbought condition and pull back, while the 12-hour just stays within its uptrend, and the 1 day stays within its uptrend, and it doesn't break and come back all the way up again. So I'm expecting this to come back to the midway, and then to build up to another overbought, back to the midway, back to another overbought. And during this time, the 12-hour will just be on this general uptrend, and so will the 1 day. And during this time, this will pull back less than the RSI, then it's going to run up. It'll pull back less than the RSI, then it's going to run up. So this pullback will be deeper percentage-wise than the price. Then it'll run up, and this will be a deeper pullback percentage-wise than the price. Then we're going to run up again. So watching for these combinations is giving the add-on signals the permission to go into nitro after we've already been proven correct and the market is now starting to change direction. So this is phenomenal to be able to map all this stuff out, and we've already seen examples of it. Now we're getting ready for it again. And when to get in, when to be adding on those positions is what I'm really studying the crap out of here. On the 1 hour time frame, again, we're going to get this run up and then a pullback heavy in the RSI, but the price doesn't pull back percentage-wise as deeply. Then we're going to get that run up as this takes off from these levels. You can see that on the 1 hour time frame, they get right down to the 40% level before it starts to turn around and give us the run up again. And here's our run up and pull back, run up and pull back, run up and pull back. So this is again what I'm expecting, run up and pull back in the 1 hour time frame. Once we get into the 15-minute time frame, then I'm lost. Then it doesn't make as much sense to me. It gets to be too small of a time frame, but we'll still continue to watch it because this is matching the timing of the 1 hour pullback. Look at that. So it is matching the timing of these pullbacks, and it should give us the first indication then of when this is finished its pullback and going to be snapping higher. And it would appear that we are getting a divergence in these bottoms in the RSI on this small time frame when we stretch it out. Knowing that I'm figuring this is going to snap and go higher from here, and watching all of these RSI setting up in advance is phenomenal. Now into the on balance volume. Pulled back. It's got a little tick up here. Every bit that this grows through this weekly candle is going to be really important. On the 1 year view, we can see some green showing up here finally. On the daily view. On the 12-hour view, this is showing up much more significantly now than it was. That's awesome. Because I remember in the 4-hour time frame that we had this nice trickle going on, and as this was taking off, I was observing this run up in the volume and saying, yes, this is confirming our buy signal. Look at the run up in volume as it's taking off. Really, really great confirmation. Now it's pulled all the way back as prices have come back to test these levels. It hasn't gone negative yet on the 4-hour time frame. So we'll see if it catches itself and holds here and steadies in and then begins the next run up. And the 1 hour time frame, we can see that it's not really a divergence. We had higher highs here. We have higher highs here. It's following along with the price. It's not a divergence. We'll see how it plays out. And as we're zooming in now, I don't like this, that we're having heavier and heavier and heavier dumping for each of these lows. That's not so good. I want to see this pick up. And that's pretty close time frame. This is the 5-minute time frame, so at least this dumping was heavier than this. But if it's going to jump up now, this has to change. We have to break above these levels. This is definitely a 1, 2, 3 top formation with 3 times off of this level, broke below it. We're at support and resistance from back here, and it could bounce and turn around. Really key point, but we need to see that volume. Wasn't expecting to see it quite as pessimistic there right at the front edge. Now the MACD indicator, one of my favorites. I want to zoom in on this all the time because I want to really observe these histogram to see what they're doing from day to day now. Back again, it's a little bit deeper than it was yesterday. So I want to see, does this play around and pull back and go forward throughout the week, because it's not a closed candle yet. In the daily view, we got this cross that's really nice and positive, actually. This is really nice to have this double bottom here and a cross to the positive. The histograms are growing stronger from day to day. Now, if we go into the 12-hour time frame and we see what This histogram was growing, and it's eased off just a little bit on this front edge. Just as we saw in the volume, it has eased off just a little bit in this front edge. We'll watch to see what this means, but for me, this is still all bullish, even if it pulls back a little bit. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. All right, the 4-hour time frame is actually significant, and when it crosses, I'm watching it. So as this crossed positive, that's good. As this is crossing negative, it's not bullish. I got to zoom back out to say, when does this cross bearish? When does the 12-hour cross bearish? Because the 4-hour is just crossing bearish. We'll have to watch this because it's done this before and then opened up after that. This is pretty normal if we are going to see the 12-hour trend its way up. Here's the daily. So it's flat. We got a double bottom. We want to watch it now. We want to watch this now trend its way up as we saw here. So it crossed and then more and more positive as we were going up. This continued to trend positive, positive, pull back positive, pull back positive. So we've got a double bottom now. We need to see this pull up and then come back. And so the 4-hour and the 1-hour should be showing us that same thing. They push forward, pull back deeply, and then it should cross. If this is going to be coming up, we should see these changing momentum now. From this down area, it should be catching and changing momentum but it's not. That's the 1-hour time frame. That's pretty close time frame. On the 15-minute, this is better. This is pretty much even, as this is a little bit lower. This, however, is a lower panel overall. So it could be, if it crosses and goes positive, that could be good. We're on the 15-minute time frame. And I'm also noticing, maybe I'm stretching for it, watching for the histogram to be changing direction. And this is starting to give us the first signs that it could be turning over and closing. And if that's the case at these levels, that's good. And that we could actually just watch this chart and it'll tell us what the price is doing if this crosses positive. 5-minute view to see if it's already crossed positive here. It has, but not really definitive. We've got to break above these levels and above these levels now. The longer term, I'm still bullish on this, but I do expect it to hover a little bit. Let's see what the Ichimoku cloud says. On the weekly view, this is all looking good. On the daily view, pull this back. It's still not proven bullish. We've got negative, negative, hasn't proved bullish here on the daily view. On the 12-hour view, it's just getting the first signs of the bullish, where the trailing indicator is cut through some, the blue is crossed above the red, but this hasn't twisted, this hasn't gone above. We still got to break above this support and resistance level. So it just makes sense that prices should mess around here a little bit and make an ascending wedge triangle that gets everybody bearish, and then blasts off from there. That would be a likely scenario, looking at what we're doing here in the chart. 12-hour, 4-hour time frame is already broken above. We have the bullish cross. We have the bullish cross. Did we have the bullish twist? Yes, we did. We have the bullish twist and we have the bullish breakout. So the blue line and the red line are still a long ways apart. That means that this can come back quite a ways and hover around in here, no problem. This would stay a buy signal all the way along here now in the 4-hour time frame for the Ichimoku. So it's supporting a buy position. When I go into the 1-hour time frame, it's coming back to what could be giving us a nice clean buy signal in an uptrend. And what we'll watch for that to happen is that this trailing line has to cut back up and through. The blue line is going to have to cross above the red line as this price breaks up and goes higher. So when all three of those things come out, it will match up with all of our support and resistance levels at the same time. It'll confirm all of these things. On the 1-hour time frame, if it breaks up above this widening cloud, which indicates more sideways action. 15-minute bars, not so generous though. This is already turned into a sell signal on the 15-minute time frame. It's not bouncing off the cloud and giving us a buy signal in an uptrend like here. It's gone through the cloud, giving us the crossover to the negative here. The cloud was negative for a bit. The trailing indicator is cut through both. So that's definitely a sell signal in all of these areas when it broke below this, this technical level. And if you're trading really small time frames, this would be part of taking your profits as well, as this is falling out of this, and then the rest of your profits later. I didn't close any of my position. I'm still holding it. So we'll see in the 5-minute time frame now. To finish this up, it's a little bit less clear because it's in and out of it so much, but it did eventually drop out of it. This is hard because it's in and out so much. When we're going sideways, this is killer. Doesn't really work. But at least it gives us that inner look at the cutting edge of it. This is the cutting edge on the, and then we'll see if the 1 hour time frame, which has been really great, the 1 and a 4 hour time frame, been really great for trading with. We'll see if this one switches and supports this remaining a buy signal. Now I want to go into Bitcoin dominance. It made a surge up, but it's faltering a little bit right now. Many of the alts are right on the edge as well. So if I go into the 4-panel chart, we can see Ethereum is flatline. Litecoin is even down further. Ripple is down to these historical support and resistance levels with a little bit of mucking about here. I want to go and grab Binance just to drag it over and see what, oh, that's not, I don't need to. I added a new filter to this spreadsheet, the patrons spreadsheet. So now it shows one second. It gives us our basic bull bear index, right? We can see red is bearish, green is bullish, and we have a little wee tick of the bullishness up from yesterday over today. But we also have a lot more fails going. Near fails came back and they went into fails, and we have less neutrals. So a lot of the neutrals went into near fail and fail status this last little bit, and you can see this really having grown. It is pretty interesting to see that the number of fails back here, and it doesn't have a date attached to it. It was the maximum number of failing markets in both of Poloniex and Binance. And now we're in a similar circumstance, but we're not nearly getting as many markets failing. We're staying much more in a neutral and a near fail status, and even some of them staying in alert and hold status. And so when I go through the sheets, I'll take the Poloniex sheet. I wanted to count up how many of these were each a different color. I've squished these down so that we can see August easily, July easily, and just get a visual glimpse of where these are all going, like the matrix as you look from top to bottom. And of course, I've always added up sideways, how many of these do we have each day? And the sideways measurement is way over here so that we can calculate how many were in fail status, fail status, fail status, fail status, near fail status. And of course we chart that and we can see how many were neutral status and how many are in alert status and how many are in hold status. And this way we can chart it over time to see if the bullishness or bearishness is real. This is the objective way to see that the bull market really is here. This will tell us for sure. And then I started looking through this and I could see there's lots of patterns of coins that showed a lot of yellow. And there's a lot of coins that showed a whole bunch of orange and red and very little yellow. And I wanted to know which ones showed the most yellow. So I added a new column in here that adds up how many in this column from the 10th of July until the last bit of data, how many yellow are there? You can see there's 0 in Atom. 5 days, but BAT was in an alert status. 8 days, BCH was in alert status. And then I created a new filter, a new filter, So we could add up and quickly see which are the coins that have showed us more than 8 or 10 days in alert status in the last month and a bit, in the last 6 weeks. And that filter is right here on the home page for right now. Poloniex, coins that had greater than 10 days in the alert status since July 10th, there's only 3 of them. Binance, coins over 10 days since July the 10th, there are 3, 6, 9 of them that have shown that alert status that many days. I'm going to go through and I'm going to do this filter to say how many coins have showed 0 or less than 2 alert days in the last long time. And we'll get an idea in the future how this helped us out to nail down which markets to get into first and which ones to add on to have the biggest positions in as they're taking off. We should be able to tell that from a combination of the chart patterns and what this has been telling us about how close they were to changing to a bullish stance. So I can go through and I can change this to greater than 8. Quite a few more that are 8 and 9 days. And those are probably our top coins out of the whole list for which are going to be giving us some returns. It would be a great idea to go and read more about each of these projects to know why are these ones the top. And if I copy this and see if it gives me the exact formula so I get to the right place. Good. Now I'm going to do this less than 3 days. Quite a few of them that were less than 3 days. Really? No, it can't be. I see RVN. It's not giving me the right data. Anyway, I'll sign off for here. I'm going to work with this some more. So I still think this is going to struggle a little bit. It'll pull back somewhat, but I do believe that we're going to see this take another stage up. We'll see a little sideways action. It'll give us a test down, and then it's going to bounce right off of that and take off on the next stage. Wouldn't be surprised if it came back to the 10,000 level, actually. That would be about a 50% move from this top to this bottom. Not a problem. And it would come back here and make a nice formation for us to, and it'll give us all of our indicators all turning around at the same time. So they're not all gung-ho right now. The long-term ones are positive. The short-term ones are negative, which means it makes me think it's coming back to the 10K. And then all of our indicators, short-term and long-term, they're all going to start agreeing with each other. I'll sign off for here. And tomorrow I'm going to start doing this live on YouTube again. And so I will be putting in more of an intro to get people to go and sign up for free training on the website to get people to come through the whole sales process. Cheers for now. See you in Discord.